Have you ever wondered how Webtoon artists create their comics so fast? How are they able to draw panels upon panels of characters before their deadlines? Well, the easy answer is by simplifying your coloring. When it comes to Webtoons, prioritize simplifying your coloring by minimizing steps. In this video, I'll be explaining how I color my Webtoon, the tools I use, and how I organize my layers to help navigate my Webtoon process. Before I begin coloring, let me explain the important tools and settings on my command bar, which is this area right here. The most used tool I use is the Convert to Drawing Color tool. Where can you find it? Well, just go to the command bar settings, edit, and convert to drawing color. As the name implies, it will change the layer of whatever you have selected to the color you picked on the color wheel. Click add and there you have it. Another tool I use is the Create Selection from Layer tool. You can find it by right-clicking your layer, Selection from Layer, and Create Selection. Personally, that takes too long, so you can also add it to your command bar by going to the settings by right-clicking and finding it in Layer, Selection from Layer, and Create Selection from Layer. These two tools will be very useful later on when I show you how I use it. Another useful shortcut you may not know is the Ctrl F, which fills the layer or whatever you selected with the color you pick. So you can find Ctrl F on your keyboard shortcut. Next up is brushes. Very hot question, I always get it. Quill, what brushes do I use to line? Exhibit A. Yes, I have loads of line art brushes. But in reality, you only need a few brushes to help you line. I typically vary between these brushes, the G-Pen and the real G-Pen for lining after adjusting the settings to match my taste. For the shading, I use the LKR pen because of its hard and soft edges, which makes the shading look interesting, and also the G-Pen for the hard shadows. And for the general lighting, I use the airbrush, and hair highlights, I use this brush. You can mix and match the brushes according to your taste and whatever you are drawing. Once you are comfortable, you can add more diverse brushes to help you color and shade. Next up is layer management. When I create a panel, it automatically creates a mask area and a border. I do my liner on the vector layer. You can use a normal layer to line, but with the vector layer, it's easier to adjust the lines and correct mistakes without ruining the line quality. So this is how my layers typically look like. At the bottom is the background, then base colors on top, shading, and then lighting. This is the most basic layer management, okay? If my panel is very detailed, it would look like this monstrosity. Okay, I think it would be easier for me to show you. Under my line art layer is the base layer. I flat all my colors on one layer. Set the line art layer as the reference and use this famous tool. The default enclose and fill tool works the same way, but you have to adjust the settings a bit to suit your liking. Once you've laid down all your base colors, you can just start shading. There are two ways to shade. One is using the clipping layer and the other is to use a layer mask. I'll show you my most used method, which is the clipping method. Make a layer above the base and set the mode to multiply. I like to start off with a warm pinky color to shade, and I can adjust the color later. Using the brushes I mentioned before, you can shade more efficiently and easily. Once I'm satisfied with my shading, I will start adjusting the shading colors. This is where this magic tool comes in. I call it the Color Magic Wand. So you can use the Magic Wand tool with the Apply to Connected Pixels Only function turned off. So you just tick it off. You can use this tool to select the color on the base layer and change the shading color. On the command bar, select Convert to Drawing Color, and the color can easily be changed just like that. Another way I like to change the colors is a bit more messy, but I also prefer it, is by locking transparent pixels on my shading layer and then airbrushing over the shading layer with any color that I want. Next is the layer mask method. The second shading method is when I have extra layers above my line art layer, for example, accessories or frills that my character is wearing. Select all the layers you want to mask, and on the command bar, create selection from layer and create layer mask. You can make a separate folder and create a mask in that folder or just on one layer, whatever suits your boat. You can proceed shading like the first method. Plus, you don't have to limit your shading to just one layer. You can add more shading layers to set the mood and give a different vibe. No need to limit yourself, okay guys? Next up is lighting. Adding lighting to your webtoon brings your comic's visual to another level. The steps are similar to the shading, except I use different layer modes. The one I use the most is the add glow mode and the hard light mode. I also use screen mode occasionally. These modes help highlight the features I want to stand out, like the sparkle in the eye or the sunlight that hits my character in the back. When it comes to lighting, I use the airbrush the most. So for the background, you can use materials from the Clip Studio Paint asset store like these ones. You can also use a dappled light to set a romantic mood. Add flowers too while you're at it. Finally, the post-processing part of your webtoon is adding the final touches like extra lighting and glow to your character. To do that, I use the help of gradients and auto actions. These can be found on the Clip Studio Paint asset store for free and also paid. These ones are my favorite to use. They save a lot of time and energy. You don't have to do everything from scratch when you have good Samaritans uploading useful tools and functions online already. Adding a subtle glow behind your character can make it more pleasing to the eye and also make the character stand out more when the background is too noisy. There are so many brushes, tools, and materials from the Clip Studio Paint asset store that you can utilize to help you give effects and tone to your story. Once you've got the basics and you understand the flow of your coloring process, you can start adding more layers to your heart's content. That's all from me, guys. Thanks for watching. And I know this is a pretty short video compared to my last video, so the next video will be a longer video and I plan to do another draw with me. So see you guys soon. Bye!